cyberspace cadets, cyber fam, and fan boss galore? That's right, my cyber fam. Greetings. It's Sunday. You know what that means. It's time for some ice cream. And you know, the deal is I love talking to people. That's what this is all about. And to me, talking to somebody is a treat. And so I named it ice cream. So what, right? I love doing this show. It's always been fun. Today's guest, I saw, I did this thing with Becca fairly occasionally. And he was a guest on her little interview thing that she does on Saturdays. And I had been like looking at some of his online stuff. There's like short things, versions of it. So, and I said, man, I gotta hang out with this dude and talk to him because it was very interesting. And has a similar take to me. It's like, oh my God, he's a member of my tribe, is what my brain said at some point. Anyway, so today's guest, of course, is none other than the one and only Mitch the Ripper, if he can say it right. What's up, man?
I'm Mitch the Ripper, and that's why we can't have anything nice.
That's right. So how you doing this Sunday? You doing okay, man? You had a good Christmas and etc. If you did that,
well, I did the Christmas I like to do, and it was a complete success. I'm not a holidays kind of guy.
Feel you.
But I don't begrudge it to anyone. That's your thing, man. Do your thing, live it up, love it, and if you can't do it with someone. I guess that's all I have on that.
Okay. I thought you were going to say if you can't do it with someone, do it to someone.
Well, I thought it might be a bit early to go that dark.
I'm kidding, man.
But give it time.
Oh, Lord, that just popped in my head. I need to just really, it's time to just, kind of dial it back. All right.
It's like my friend's father used to say, if you can't be good, be careful.
Exactly. Don't name it after me.
Yeah.
Right.
Put a jacket on it.
So, all right. So, I've got questions for you, and right. We'll start talking. Because of the YouTube thing, we start with YouTube, and then when we come full circle, we'll be back talking about YouTube. So the first question I always ask everybody is, how long have you been around YouTube, and what was the main reason you decided to not only look at content but produce content yourself?
I think I've been doing it since around 2015, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And the main reason I think I really started doing it, the one guy that I've been watching creators for a while at that point, and one that really hit me was Undoomed. And I wanted to be able to go online and simply say something akin to, hey everyone, and welcome back.
Nice.
But I never did that. I did my own thing.
Right.
And then I come to find that a lot of people, upon first hearing my voice, thought I was Undoomed for just a split second.
No doubt, man. No doubt. That was a spot on imitation, I believe.
Well, I do like to do imitations sometimes.
So, all right. So, why Mitch the Ripper? A, what's the idea behind your persona? B, what made you choose the avatar you've got, which I dig. 3, and how much of what we get online is the real you? You
get a lot of what you get online is the real me.
Pretty much.
For the most part, yeah. I'm a little more vocal, I guess, online.
Right.
If I'm around people I don't know in a human setting, if you will, mm-hmm. I am a bit more reserved.
Right.
And that's because I'm watching the room.
Understood.
But that's just a habit I picked up. That like you never sit with your back to the door. One of those types of habits.
I don't know. From what I've heard of you, I didn't imagine you being the singer for like a Judas Priest knockoff band. So, no. But that's not where the Ripper came from. Obviously, it's not a musical reference. So
no, it's not. The Ripper is actually for a couple of reasons. 3, actually. One, I've always found the Jack the Ripper case very interesting. Two, when I'm angry or just on a subject, I can rip someone else's argument to shreds.
Excellent.
And three, I am not ashamed to fart at any time in any setting. I wholeheartedly believe, fart on the first date. You need to know for damn sure if the person you may be attaching to the rest of your life has a sense of humor.
Indeed.
I go on a lot of first dates. And since I do see her in the chat, I have to do this. Hey, Becca Fairley.
Hey, Becca. What's up?
Are you familiar with that reference, with that voice?
No, I'll be honest.
Okay, I love this story. One time I was watching a stream, or no, I was on a stream. I forget whose it was. I want to say it's one person's channel, but I'm not certain about it. But she told a story about a former neighbor of hers and that lady's husband, who were swingers, and how they were always trying to get her to come over for the weekend and join the party. And it just, a character just like exploded in my brain when she told that story of this oversexed, over-drinking, too much rough play, I guess. So it affected her voice in the long term, and that's her voice. That's what her voice wound up being. And she'd say something like, hey, Becca Fairley, we have some new rubbing lotion to put in the basket this weekend. You know, it just a woman, an oversexed woman with that kind of a voice. It's just a bad combination, and it strikes me as funny.
Indeed. I do want to say hey to the chat real quick. Spittle Buggies, greetings and welcome aboard. It's good to have you. I know you've been here before, but I'm just saying it's always just good to have you.
I see a lot of familiar names.
Yeah, Richo, of course. Ghost Dog 99 and Johnny Bonsacco. Greetings, gentlemen. Spittle Buggies. Let's see. And I believe. All right, I said Richo. I think that's everybody, of course, with Becca. That makes it even. Y'all share this shit out, because this is there needs to be more people checking this stuff out. All right.
Yeah, so, we small timers need to grow. Damn it.
Exactly. Well, dude, it's always like this, man. I've been doing this long enough to know when the holidays are around is when it gets kind of.
It's a dead zone.
Yeah, exactly. So it's but I appreciate you doing this for me, man, and coming out and hanging out.
I like to tell people that I'm one of the smartest people in the world, just because I never got married. I never raised kids, and as a result, I don't have to clear my time with anyone but me.
Indeed.
There is a true story behind that too, though.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask: are you a MGTOW man? Do you identify as one?
No, I'm a MGTOW.
Okay.
I'm a Mitch going his own way.
That's right.
What I mean by that is, I understand the MGTOW position, and if it works for someone, good. It's not going to work for everybody. You know, you got to realize that about any philosophy, I think, is it's not going to work for everybody. If it works for you, great, run with it. But, if it doesn't work for someone else, leave them alone. It's fine when you treat it as a personal philosophy, but when you start treating it as a religion and start preaching it at everyone in that religious zealot kind of way, then it can be a bit of a problem. When you start railing in your bedroom on your YouTube channel on your live stream, because you figured out something that works for you, so God, it must work for everyone else, right?
Right. Well, yeah, it's almost like a form of fanaticism. You know, it's a
Yeah, when you start shouting, "We shall prevail!" It's like, dude, you're home alone. Calm down.
really, man.
And you're home alone because no one will put up with you. It's not like it's a choice you made. But there's another truth behind my my permanently single status, and that is because I know that I do not like to share my toys.
Mm.
It's pretty simple, really. I know that if I had kids and they started messing with any of my equipment of any kind, if they started touching my coffee machine, I'd start freaking out because I'm selfish. So why create all that hassle for a bunch of people?
Indeed. So I did want to say hey to 3-4 Yoda and Moonbase Security. I snuck in there. I saw that. All right, so this is a great great question that I love. Everybody's got a great answer. Is there a food from your childhood that you could not stand, but now as an adult you actually like it?
Onions.
Onions
for the I don't know why. I think it's just because I worked in pizza, to be honest, for such a long time.
Mm.
And you know, when you make a mistake and it's got onions on it, you don't have time to complain about it. You don't have time to pick it off. It's just in the back on the table for anyone to come grab, and you need to eat something because it's a busy night. You're just going to eat it. And I did, and it grew on me. I'm a little shocked. I now use onions in almost every recipe,
right,
when I'm cooking. But yeah, I think that's the big one.
You know, that's part of it's part of the Holy Trinity and every cuisine just about, you know.
Garlic, onion, and bell pepper.
Yep. Or in Asia, garlic, onion, ginger. I mean garlic. Yep. Yeah, garlic, onion, ginger. Right.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, who would you say as a child was the most influential person in your life?
Oh God, I hope you're not expecting me to say Arthur Fonzarelli. Because
hey,
I got to tell you, honestly, looking back on that show, maybe that is an influence. Because looking back, I'm like, that is the dumbest damn thing I have ever seen.
Yeah.
But no, I would have to say Captain Kirk.
Oh wow.
Honestly, of all, you know, not William Shatner. Captain Kirk.
The character. Yeah, I totally get that. Because we had talked earlier, and we realized that we're not. Well, actually, I'm older, much older than he is, but old enough to where we probably saw a lot of Star Trek reruns.
Oh God, yes. There was nothing better than a Star Trek rerun as a kid.
You know, especially on where I lived on Saturdays, I would show 2 of them. Or, you know, sometimes 3 of them if they, I don't know. I love that shit.
When I was growing up, it was every day after school. I think it came on at 5 p.m. And between me and my sister, we you know, there's that, as kids, you have that unspoken understanding who called it.
Right.
You know, who called it first.
Right.
And that's the thing. That is simply going to be, that's the law when you're a kid. And, you know, half the time she called it and it would be the Brady Bunch.
Right. Are you the oldest or is she the oldest?
I'm actually the youngest.
Okay. Of how many?
Technically 6, but 5.
Okay. So there's a big family. How would you if you had one word to describe your family, what word would you use?
Cold.
Mm.
And not in a hostile way.
Right.
It's just that we never got like over emotional with each other.
Yeah.
I had a couple of brothers who would want to kill each other, but the rest of us just we're just cold. I mean, it was like, you know, there was no hostility, like I said. It wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, it's just maybe a lack of warmth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my dad's side of the family is exactly like that, and my mom's family is the exact opposite. They're touchy-feely huggers, right?
Oh yeah, I can't stand that shit.
Yeah, I feel. See, I'm more like I'm more like you are.
I'm happy to hug a significant other,
mm,
you know, that kind of a thing. But when it's just random every minute of every day, hug hello, hug goodbye, hug, oh, you just got out of the bathroom, here's a hug. No, get away from me. I'm not a hugging person, and I never will be.
I feel you.
I tell people when I first meet them too.
So what kind of kid were you? Or your early childhood?
Oh, early on, I was the kid that made noises.
Right. All right.
Well, because I was always like in my own head, in my own imagination, and it could take quite a bit to drag me out of it. I mean, it's not like I was on the spectrum or anything like that. Nothing like that at all. It's just I wasn't interested in much of what was going on around me.
I understand.
You know, did my homework.
Yeah. So talking about elementary and middle school, what were your grades like?
Oh, I was generally in the 80 percentile and up, I believe. You know, I was always B's and A's. Except later on in high school, when it came into the math, I started slipping in that area, and I've never really been great at math, which is actually, I think, a good thing. Because now, when I'm looking at things involving just the business of being an adult, I focus that much harder on the math to make sure I get it right. You know, in certain jobs I've had like handling a shipping and receiving operation. You can't be wrong about the numbers,
right?
And because I'm just not good with math, I mean, I'm great. I'm fine when it comes to the basic stuff, but when you get into the more advanced levels of algebra and then into calculus and trigonometry, forget about it.
Yeah, I get lost when you get into those upper levels.
Yeah.
Myself. But I can balance a checkbook, damn it.
Yep.
You know, without using a calculator.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so, and that's something that I think we're going to see, like, kind of.
It's going to disappear.
Yeah, especially because of Common Core. Oh my God.
God, yeah.
There's some fucked up shit there, man.
You know, speaking of Common Core, I like to remind people of this because I refuse to get myself trapped into a cult of personality or a political party or anything like that. I don't like going with the flow. And I got to point out that we've had President Trump for 4 years with his head of the Federal Department of Education, and we still have Common Core.
Yeah.
There's a problem there. Common Core should have been one of the first things to go, and it's still there.
I totally agree with you. What do you think about
that? Everyone who says those of us who support President Trump are just little yes men, you've been proven wrong.
I totally understand what you're saying, though. People think because you voted for one candidate that you're going to support every decision they make, and that's just dumb, right?
Oh, it is.
You know, that's like following a complete party. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I agree with every plank of a certain party, I'm not using my mind. Obviously, I'm being a sheep and allowing them to just make my mind up for me.
Exactly. And that kind of critical thinking is going away too because of things like Common Core.
Oh yeah, I think the Chinese Communist Party won it that way.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, that's a discussion for another show, man.
That's a whole show by itself.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and that's what me and Becca are doing now on Mondays. You know, we're looking at communism, the history from a historical perspective, and because I grew up in the Cold War and she hasn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's this great contrast that we both have experientially. So I'm turning her on to some good shit. And
it's funny too. A lot of people don't realize that As I'm reading the chat as we go. And Becca points out, give education decisions back to the states and get it out of the hands of the federal government.
No shit.
Here's the dirty secret. There is no constitutional authority for a federal Department of Education. And on that basis, the federal Department of Education does not have authority to institute policy to the states. So they don't. What they do is they collect tax revenue,
money, yeah,
and they bribe the states to
Exactly.
adopt these crap policies.
That's exactly what they do.
Yes,
Yep.
it's not establishing policy, it's a bribery operation, which in many cases is criminal.
It's that's the way they do business, man. You know, it's all about the moolah and the agenda. All right, so kind of getting back to you, as you know, as a kid and all that stuff. Was there a specific holiday that you like enjoyed?
I always liked Halloween.
Right? Tell me about that.
Because on Halloween, you got to step outside yourself. And I think that is a brilliant thing. That's a brilliant thing to be able to do because it lets your mind be creative.
Right.
It's getting back to education. One of the things, hey, Moonbase Radio. One of the things that we have unintentionally forgotten is that you need that kind of creativity in the human brain to develop a solid, well-balanced human being. Kids need to have a creative outlet. Another reason Common Core is such a pile of trash. I mean, look at what they've done. I mean, and you and I have grew up with some of this when they started cutting funding to the music programs
Yes.
and the other creative arts, and all that money started going into the sports programs, which do have elements of creativity, but not the same kind of creativity. You know, in sports, it's a more structured creativity.
Right.
And you could be creative within that particular structure, but not every student is going to be a part of that structure to begin with. So
Right.
when you funnel all that money into one type of a program, sports, you're robbing all those opportunities and abilities to develop that good creativity in writers, in actors, in musicians, and in visual artists as well.
Right.
And I think that's kind of criminal too. It's George Carlin once described something like that as sophisticated child abuse. And I think he's right. I think that's a kind of abusive behavior.
And see, and that's another influence that is sorely missed on this fucking generation.
God.
Man. You know,
Oh, God, yes.
You know what I'm saying? The closest I think to it would be Jesus, what is his name? It just left my mind. Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is the closest thing to
Possibly, yes.
Yeah, to Carlin.
Well, we do have a couple of great ones out there. Chappelle is one of them. Bill Burr is another.
Yeah, you know, Burr and Adam
Bill
Carolla.
Burr is more.
Carolla.
I don't know. Adam Carolla, yes. But Norm Macdonald.
Yes.
But Norm Macdonald is he's funny as hell, but the jokes he tells are corny as hell too, and I can't figure that out.
Dude, he would fuck with anybody.
It's his delivery.
That dude has got a set of nards on him, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and his show is so funny. All right, did you see the one where he was like, I mean, he was kind of ripping Lorne Michaels a new one in front of him, and I'm like, how is the guy not getting up and leaving?
Yeah,
It's amazing.
But I would say Bill Burr is I'd say he's more blue collar than Carlin was, but Carlin wasn't exactly white collar either.
Yeah. Burr's like a Boston, you know.
Well,
Definitely,
yeah. There's I'm not sure how to explain it, but Bill Burr is he doesn't. I think it's because they don't focus on the same things. The same types of qualities of the human condition.
Yeah.
But I think that their observations are just as astute.
Agreed.
It's just that Bill Burr delivers it, and the things about the human condition that he observes are just different. So it makes it seem like the material is wildly different, but there's a lot of elements that are similar.
God really likes Bill Burr.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To be on Breaking Bad and fucking The Mandalorian? Just saying.
Yeah.
Lucky bastard. All right, so if you could go back in time and talk to little Mitch, the Ripper, at the age of 8, what would you tell yourself?
Invest in Google, Apple, Microsoft.
The basics.
And it's funny I would say that now, because today those are the names of our enemies in many ways.
Yeah, well, they're big and powerful, and their stock's worth money.
Yep. I think one thing I would tell the younger Mitch, and it's in that vein, is pay better attention and closer attention to finance and how money works.
I can totally identify with that.
I mean, I think all of us would be much better off if we had a better basis for an understanding about how money works. They don't teach it worth a damn in school. No, they don't teach finances. They teach economics, which is meant to bullshit people into think they're being taught finances, but they're really not.
Exactly.
They need to. I think home ec should not be about baking cookies as much as it is about maintaining your personal state of economics.
Budget, things like that.
Yes, I think it should focus more on that stuff.
Sure. That makes perfect sense to me. All right, so what's the craziest thing you did as a little kid? Yeah, I mean...
I once jumped from a second-story balcony when I was 6 or 7.
Oh, Lord. Did you hurt yourself?
Oh, hell yes. I didn't break anything, but man, I did not want to walk the rest of that day.
I bet, man. I did something similar, hurt my ankles and shit. Ew, horrible.
Yeah. And I'm not talking I climbed over the railing. I climbed on top of the railing and jumped from there.
It's almost like we're brothers or some shit.
Nowadays they'd have, the railing would be electric. It'd be electrified, and there'd be all kinds of warning signs. And, there'd be bubble wrap on the ground for 20 feet out from the edge of the balcony. And airbags and all kinds of shit because people are such... I mean, it wasn't a smart thing to do, make no mistake, and it hurt like hell.
No shit, man.
But
right.
That which doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Well, and that's kind of the reason I asked that question, man, is because it's like, especially little boys, tend to do just stupid, dangerous shit that they don't realize at the time, and then, in retrospect, 20, 30, 40 years later, you're going, holy shit, I was a dumbass.
And if I would have had like a decent rope swing of some kind at my disposal, I probably wouldn't have climbed the balcony to take that jump. Because
Right.
I would have had something else to engage that part of me.
Exactly, to get that wildness.
But no, you'll hurt yourself on a rope swing. Oh, shut up. Yeah, second story balcony, that's fine.
Yeah, that whole put your eye out thing, that was a thing for me, man. If I had a nickel every time I heard that, don't do that, you'll put your eye out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'd be rich. All right, so talk about the first time you were ever, like, in a romantic situation with a girl.
Oh, God.
What was that like?
I might have to fire up the TARDIS to figure this one out. Okay, wow, mustache hair fell on my tongue. That's a lovely sensation. Are we talking just a romantic situation where I'm not hitting a home run. Was that what we're talking about?
It's whatever you want to. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's your interpretation of the question.
All right.
That's what I was trying to tell you before we got going. You know.
Well, see, that's what I mean. It's hard to pick and choose. I would say. I remember the first time I had sex, and the second. Same girl. First time was on the living room floor in the middle of the afternoon at a friend's house. Not hers and not mine. Yeah, you just read that from Mr. Scott too?
What?
Oh, but anyway, the second time was on the hood of my Buick. So I guess that's what I'll go with.
Wow.
I had a 72 Buick Skylark in 1988.
Yeah.
I was 18 years old on the hood of a Buick Skylark just going at it.
What year Skylark was that?
It was a 72. It was a shit brindle rust brown color with a white top and just ugly as hell.
Yeah, you have one of those vinyl tops?
No.
Those hard you know what I'm talking about?
I do, but this wasn't one of those.
Okay.
It's like it wanted all the benefits of looking like a convertible without actually being a convertible.
Right. They did. That was a thing in the 70s.
Oh, that and the wood paneling down the side.
Yeah, the fake wood paneling. Yeah, that was awesome too. It was like, this is not wood, obviously, but we're gonna stick it on here anyway.
That was a big old sticker, is what that was.
The family truckster.
Yep.
Yeah. What about the first time you got fucked up? What was that like?
I can tell you exactly. Because this is burned into my memory more than the sex. It was me and my friend Mike, and we were we had been taking sips, and I use the word sips quite wrongly, from my parents' bar at my house. This is it's middle of the afternoon,
right?
And we were so smashed, we were lying on the floor and doing a stress test on each other to see who could take the hardest smack in the face, and just laughing about it because we couldn't really feel it. Then his grandparents showed up, and man, I got in so much fucking trouble for that. I'm sure he did too, but I didn't have to witness it.
Yeah, it's usually very memorable, right?
Oh yeah, I think I was how old was I? God, had to be 14 or 15.
Hey JTR, say hey to Jack the Ripper, and I've been corrected, and I appreciate that. Where is that? Yeah, Bill Burr's from Canton. Thank you, Moonbase Security. He is suburban white trash. I
think he admits it.
I identify with that shit.
Oh yeah,
proudly. MAGA. Let's see. Where am I? Oh, all right, what about? So you kind of talked about high school. Were you ever were you musical or
oh yeah.
I was. Talk about that.
I was one of, I think, two of my parents' kids who were into music seriously. I couldn't tell you much about the other kid, my oldest brother, because there's 10 years between he and I.
Okay.
And we never really interacted on that kind of a level, because he had gone off to the Air Force by the time I was getting into music. But I started learning to play the guitar and the keyboard, and I'm mainly into metal when it comes to music, as far as my musical taste. But that musical taste is in no way exclusive, because I'm also a big fan of classical, neoclassical, and all forms of jazz. But I'm not a fan of these things anymore, to the point where I can tell you who's doing what and playing and what chord Or I'm sorry, in what key.
Right.
And I can't tell you any of that stuff. The way I learned to play was by trial and error. I play based on feeling, and in no way based on anything technical.
You're an autodidact.
What?
An autodidact.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, you self-teaching, right?
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
So
I had lessons with a guy, but that didn't take me in directions I wanted to go. So what do? You start teaching yourself, and you start picking up tips and tricks from different places, magazines,
right.
Guitar magazines back in the days, and other people you run into who play.
Did you have a band or anything?
Oh yeah. I can't remember any of the band names because the band name is such an important thing. It has to be right, and what you do has to be a good fit for that band name.
Right.
And our tastes, myself and the other bandmates, our tastes were so varied that we couldn't ever find the fit. So the band name became a rotating thing. Some of them were really stupid. I remember that. Because I just knew when I heard a bad band name that, okay, this sucks.
Yeah, man, a lot of bands back in the 80s, like, they got names stuck with them because of, some asshole that worked at the bar they were playing at just put up a name, I think the Butthole Surfers were that way. It was somebody else.
Well, sometimes someone else has that spark of brilliance that you don't have that suits your purpose really well.
Yeah.
No, that's what I got to tell Mr. Scott. My band was never called Mustache Pussy. One of the later band names, however, someone did insist that we call ourselves 1 Inch Mitch.
Oh.
But
I don't know how to respond.
Again, it didn't fit.
Exactly. There you go. That was a good one. What about reunions? Have you been to any of your reunions for high school?
No. When I left high school, I left high school.
Well,
I left that shit behind me, and I'm that's how I am when I leave something behind. It's I very rarely go back to it.
Right. So what did you do after high school?
I was a loaf after high school. I made a lot of mistakes in life, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
They were I had that post high school pre job market. Mitch thought he could get away with anything, and it took was one conviction for petty theft, and I was done with that.
Wow. But you made it out okay. Sounds like.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I learned a lot in the process. I learned how to make a fire without matches while I was in jail.
So
and that was what, 19, 20 years old. I'm never doing that shit again, man.
I heard that.
You know how they say that some of the kids today need to have the shit kicked out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's partly true. They need to have some experience that teaches them that they're not the center of the universe. And that's what that did for me.
Right. Proper negative reinforcement.
Yes. I didn't get it properly. I mean, let's not mince words. My parents were experts at negative reinforcement, but they were so good at it that it would backfire. They were too good at it.
Right.
So, I'm not saying that they were abusive, because they weren't. But they got into my head. And for the longest time, there were some things I couldn't get past.
Right.
And to this day, I react based on some of that.
All right. So go ahead.
You want an example?
Yes.
In my life, I've done music, I've done oil painting, I've done writing. I've done a lot of creative things. And, just for the sake of conversation, when I would visit my mother, she would ask me, what I've been up to, because we don't talk every day, but, we do talk on occasion. She'd ask what I'm up to, and I'd tell her about it. And she would hyper criticize everything I did. And that still sticks with me today, so that when my co-author and I wrote the book we wrote, I never told her. I just, it's like, no, I don't need that kind of negativity if it's going to be there. I don't care if it's going to be there or not. It's just, I just assume it's going to be, and I just don't set myself up for it.
Right. Well, and I think if you're creative, I think you've got your own little critic in your head.
Oh yeah.
That questions stuff. So, I totally relate to that, man.
Yeah, it's bad enough I got to deal with my own,
right.
my own criticisms, and I'm fine to accept criticism. To be honest, I need criticism. I love having criticism because.
Right.
A thing that goes uncriticized cannot get better.
Right. And and there is positive criticism. There's
yes.
A legit, it's like giving someone a tip, or help, it's help. So, all right. So since we're kind of in this place, why don't you talk about, your, it sounds like, so you wrote a book, talk about that.
Oh, my co-host on the Ridgedale Brand YouTube channel, Arthur, and I wrote a book called Reconstitute Us to Form a More Perfect Union, in which we use constitutional amendments that we came up with as a tool to broach new ideas in governance that hold our elected employees, mind you, our elected officials, who we call employees, to account. But we do so without trampling on the rights of the people. For example, I'll give you an easy example. We do have an amendment regarding income tax, and everyone up and down who's read the Constitution will tell you that there's no constitutional justification for an income tax. Well, actually, there is. However, what we do different is that we establish an upper limit by percentage. So and that percentage is 10%. So the way we've got it set up is you can tax the income. In fact, we've made this the only federal tax, period, because we eliminate the rest of the tax code in its entirety and institute an upper limit of 10% tax on income, and that is the whole of the tax code. So there's no write-offs, there's no loopholes, there's no workarounds, there's no tax returns. Our system, you can file your taxes on a business card, and you're done. There's no bullshit. All the nonsense is taken out of the system. Because the tax code's like, what, 15,000 pages?
Yeah, but the government, it's designed, it's really designed itself from within now to generate, instead of, what you're talking about is taking a really complex process and just making it simple.
Yes, our government will never do that.
Right. The exact opposite.
But that's kind of the point. We know our government. I think we say it in the book too. We know the government won't just do this stuff. But what's important is to get the people of this country thinking about these things in a way where you have an articulated solution. I mean, if you had 100 million Americans agree on that amendment and start pushing their representatives to look into it, that then we'd start seeing some progress.
Yeah.
You know, someone's got to put these things out there as the beginning point, not the end point. Our amendments aren't an end point; they're a beginning point.
Right.
They're the starting point for people to start thinking about these things and discussing them, and improving upon our ideas. You know, because we're not the smartest bricks in the tulip patch,
Right.
and we know it. We say as much in the book.
So,
You know, and we want the criticism on these ideas.
yeah. Well,
Like I said,
mean,
because
that's bold. You know, given the the current structure, it's God, I don't know if it's fixable.
no, I don't either.
You know, to be honest, and you know, it's like, what do you do? You know, it's like you got a you know, you got a car. It's a great car. It's a killer interior. Everything's wheels are brand new. Everything's brand new except the engine, man. The engine's rusted in the center. You
Kind
know,
of.
And what what do you do?
Well, you know, it's that joke about the guy who buys the older car and puts a really good stereo in it.
Mm.
But the engine shot can't go over 22 miles per hour. you know, but by God, when he's taken 6 hours to drive 3 blocks to work, you can hear that stereo.
Yeah, that bass of thumping.
Yeah.
Hear that. All right. So, we talked a little bit about music. What about your pop culture? What excites you? Are you into horror? Are you into sci-fi, comics?
Oh, I'm into a lot of them. Sci-fi, definitely. But I don't know if this is a function of age, and I think it might be. My tolerance. How do I explain this? Because it's complicated, man. I'll give you an example. On Monday nights on our Twitch channel, Arthur and I, we watch movies. We do a Twitch watch party. Unfortunately, you have to be an Amazon Prime member to watch it. That kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
Right.
But we do that every week, and sometimes we intentionally pick a bad movie. Because some movies are so bad they're good.
Yeah, they can be very fun. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and it's fun to just sit and watch a shitty movie and make fun of it. Now, there's a guy, an actor called Robert Kovacs, who is a Charles Bronson lookalike, but he's I believe he's Hungarian or Bolivian. I can't remember which. So he has this accent. So to make these movies, not only did they hire a Charles Bronson lookalike, they have to hire a Charles Bronson sound-alike to do the overdub.
Oh, really? And what's his name again?
Yeah. Robert Kovacs. He used to go under the name Robert Bronzy. Bronsi. I think you'll find him in either place on IMDb.
Right.
But they're not great movies.
He looks exactly
they're
like
knockoffs.
him. He looks exactly like him, man.
Doesn't he?
That's hilarious.
And it's crazy. He did one of the movies he did was a Western called From Hell to the Wild West, which I had to watch because it was a story and it's a good concept.
That is so
the
funny.
The execution's really shitty, but it's a good concept. Jack the Ripper flees London for the Wild West after he commits the murders in London.
Well, a lot of people think he came here. Yep. So,
Oh yeah, a lot of people think that Jack the Ripper was H.H. Holmes out of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Because the timeline lines up, but there are other things that don't.
Right.
But so when I say, getting back to the genre question, I like almost every genre. I'm not a big fan of the date movie. The chick flick, I'm not a big fan of that stuff.
Right.
I hate romance. It
Rom-coms,
bothers me because
sure.
it's just, I think it sets up an unrealistic expectation. But
I agree.
when I say a bad movie, I don't mean a Charles Bronson look-alike. You know, I don't mean that. Because that's not a bad movie. You got to respect the audacity for something.
Did you see
like
Rubber?
that.
Have you seen Rubber?
Which one?
It's called Rubber, and it's about a tire that goes on a murdering rampage.
Oh no, I haven't, but I've heard of it.
It's great, man. It sounds like you
But
would
yeah,
like
something
that.
something like that. You have to respect the audacity to make such a crazy ass movie based on such a goofy concept.
Well,
I absolutely love that stuff.
Yeah.
Because the purpose of a movie is to be entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's badly directed, badly acted, bad cinematography, bad ADR, bad special effects, if all that stuff's bad and you're still entertained at the end, then the movie did its job.
And
Now, a bad movie is having J.J. Abrams write and direct a Star Trek or Star Wars movie. Those are bad movies.
J.J. Abrams, man.
You're chopping out on me.
Hello? Check 1 2.
Oh, here we go. That started working.
Yeah, it's okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was kind of leaned back in my chair. I do that sometimes. So
You need a microphone on a stick.
no shit. I need. Well, I've got this old rotten headset, man, but I don't want to sound like Mr. Medicare. So yeah, I spent money on this thing. So what about? All right. So what? I guess a good thing to ask, or what's the last series you binge watched?
Oh, I just started late last week. I just started binge watching Chuck.
Tell me about that.
That's about a guy who works in a knockoff Best Buy kind of place who accidentally gets. Well, it wasn't an accident, but initially it seems like he accidentally gets a whole CIA/NSA database downloaded into his brain.
Ooh.
And so he's used as an asset by the government to do the things. It's one of those shows.
Okay, so it's like a mission of the week kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds
and
good.
you know it's okay. There are characters I absolutely hate. I got gas now.
I need to address a JTR, the serial killer, dude. Full Moon Productions. I'm telling you, Subspecies is one of the greatest movies ever made. And
oh yeah,
I love that.
There's a lot of low budget films
Doll Man
that are just brilliant.
Yeah, the Puppet Master stuff. I mean, oh my gosh,
Yes.
yeah, that stuff alone. But that's the stuff that really made Full Moon. You know.
Well, yeah, there's I can't remember the production company, but they did a series of movies called Mythica that was on Amazon Prime for a while. I think now they're on IMDb TV. But there's 5 movies in this series. They're all low budget, and they utilize some pretty shoddy CG effects. But the story's good, and the stories actually pull you in, and they're enjoyable stories.
Right.
So they're good movies.
I think I've seen the first one of these, to be honest with you, because the effects were horrible. The acting was mediocre, but the story was good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah,
I think
I'm looking at pictures. I'm looking at that's what I'm talking about. That
I
chick
can't
right
remember
there.
I can't remember the characters' names, but I remember the names I gave them. The main character gal was Mythica because that's the name of the movie.
Right.
Her name was actually something very different than that, but bullshit. Her name's Mythica because that's the name of the movie.
Right.
And she's the main character.
Right.
There was a drunk guardsman. Or no, drunk guard. I called him drunk guard. There was Bo Archerson. who was that guy with the bow and arrow, obviously. Oh God, those are the only three I remember. But Arthur and I actually reviewed those movies. I think those reviews are still on our YouTube channel.
Oh, sweet.
But yeah, that's a good series of movies. You know, they're for one thing, I am the last guy to preach about how everything needs to be family friendly, because I think that's bullshit. But they are family friendly without slapping you across the face with family friendly entertainment.
You know, and that's a good point you make, man, because they making like all these streaming channels and shit, they make stuff that's PG-13, and it's like, dude, you know, you can make R-rated stuff and it not be, you know, like total TNA. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but that's because filmmaking has been too long in the hands of the Hollywood elites.
Yeah, you think it's become just a fucking assembly line type deal?
Yep.
You know? Yeah.
Arthur and I have done several streams on the value that we're seeing in fan productions and independent productions. Just through YouTube, for example. Do you like Friday the 13th?
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever heard of a fan film called Never Hike Alone?
No.
Oh, you got to see that.
Now, I've seen a lot of the black and white H.P. Lovecraft stuff. That's on YouTube. And even I saw the silent movie, the Call of Cthulhu, with the stop motion animation, was brilliant. Good stuff. The Star Trek, you know, the series with Vic Mignogna, you know, playing Kirk.
Star Trek continues.
It continues. Good stuff. Axanar. I wish the hell they'd make more of that shit, because STD is literally living up to its name.
Yes, it is.
To its initials. It's total garbage. And Picard.
Tired Space Grandpa, the animated series. Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
it was like Weekend at John Luke's.
If you would have kept it, you know, I don't know, man. Everything's got to be so injected with politics and you know, whatever. It annoys me, because that's the exact reason I want to watch shit, is because I don't want to think about that kind of shit. I just
exactly.
Or if you know, there's an artistic way to engage me to think about life from a different perspective.
Well, yeah, because the allegory was well hidden back in the old days,
and it was well done.
Yeah.
Right. You know, but you knew what it was. You knew what it was, that they were where they were driving.
See, the best preacher in the world is going to send you away from that church with you thinking you've been entertained.
Got 333 from Droopy Tits. I got it this time. The MPAA has fucked the industry. Yeah, you think that?
What's that?
The MPAA. I mean, you know, his quote. That was Droopy Tits saying that.
What was the quote now?
The MPAA is the reason that it's become like that?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah, probably it is.
I think the MPAA has led to the appeal to authority.
Agreed.
But honestly, you can watch a rated G movie, and if it's a good story, you're not even going to think about the rating. Because you're going to be sucked into the story.
Right, exactly. And it won't matter.
Exactly.
The rating won't matter at all. I totally agree with that, man.
I mean, when you watch Star Wars, when that came out in 77, or was it 78, whatever, when that came out in 77, did you walk out of the theater going, Jesus, that sucked, there were no titties?
Man, I came out of that movie like with a new vision.
Right.
You know, that's what, and I've got a story about that, but yeah, I totally agree with you, man. It wasn't exactly, it wasn't about it didn't matter that there was this or that. The story was well done. It was a tight movie, really well done, and
Yeah.
it took you out of time, man. It took you out of time for 2 hours.
Yes. But
and,
if Star Wars was a spec script today, and it was being circulated among the Hollywood studio heads, one conversation would take place in every studio, at the top of each individual food chain. There would be the same conversation that takes place. How do we get boobies in this picture? People like to see boobies. I want to see boobies in this picture. Let's get some boobies in here. I'll handle the casting myself so we can see some boobies. Because that's what Hollywood thinks. That's the mindset in Hollywood. They want to have the boobies, and they want to have it be PG-13.
Right.
And bullshit. Oh, yeah. But anyway, going back to that Friday the 13th film, it's on YouTube for free. Never Hike Alone. Write it down.
Never Hike Alone.
You will thank me for it. It is very well done. But yeah, Hollywood, for some reason, I don't know how this happened in what is supposed to be a free country. Think about this. To make movies, you have to be part of some fucking club.
Mm-hmm.
You have to join someone's club to make and distribute a motion picture. There's the Screenwriters Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, the Directors Guild.
Mm-hmm.
You have to join a club to
it's been unionized for
You got the Teamsters,
right?
Unions. You have to join a club to do any work for Hollywood, and that's bullshit. I think what we need to do is we need to start a new independent filmmaking industry somewhere that's based somewhere else in the United States, away from Hollywood and away from New York.
Well, yeah, and what's interesting, that there is some activity in Atlanta right now, and Vancouver, right? That's where they're shooting a lot of shit at this point. But you're absolutely right, because one of the taxes and stuff have driven people out. Let's see.
Oh, Dan S in the chat brings up a good point. For that matter, in 68, if you want to go back in time, 68 was the first time a mainstream show, Star Trek, had a white man kiss a black woman. Boobies weren't even thought of. Exactly. But there's another thing about the original Star Trek that is just absolutely fascinating. A lot of the costumes for the women, I don't mean the Starfleet officers, because those were a uniform, so it wasn't something they had to come up with every episode.
Right.
But for a lot of the other female episodes, a lot of those costumes were sexy without being sleazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is skill. Now, if they do something sexy, it's by accident, but they do something sleazy all the goddamn time.
Yeah, it's almost like the aesthetic is nowadays is blunt, right? It's not subtle. It's just,
exactly
right.
And that's the funny part, is some of those sexy costumes from the 60s were skimpy and still not sleazy.
I think that applies about to everything, man. With especially the Zoomers. Yeah, totally.
Space bikini.
Mm-hmm. Barbarella
space bikinis.
Barbarella came out in 1967, I think, or 65, and that had tits in it. But it was a great movie, though. French sci-fi.
I mean, just because there are boobies doesn't mean it's a bad movie. I mean, hell, I'm one of those people who likes the boobies. Make no mistake.
Yeah, no. I know what you're saying, totally.
It's just that I know that they're not required for me to be entertained.
Indeed. But they help. Just saying.
Well, it depends.
I'm a booby dude. I like tits.
Oh, that's the funny thing, breasts
My
are
favorite
serious.
flavor.
Breasts are serious. Boobs are fun, but tits mean business.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what Carlin used to say. It sounds like a snack.
Yep.
Yes, I know it is. All right, so let's see. Moving. All right, on. What do you think was the greatest TV series ever?
Oh, that's a rough one. That's hard because of the many genres.
Mm-hmm.
So if so, you get stuck picking the best one per genre, and then from that little group picking the best movie or the best series.
Yeah, Julie Newmar was hot back
Oh
in the
God,
day.
yes.
Yeah, totally.
Now I could be a real dick and say Bigfoot and Wild Boy, and that'll throw a lot of people off. But you'll probably remember it. Maybe not. You might have aged out by then.
Yeah, I might have.
I think that was 75 or 76. You might have aged out by then.
Oh, I do remember the Man from Atlantis.
Oh God, that's a guppy. So do I.
It's pretty shitty.
Oh, let's see.
And
Best
the
TV
old
series.
Hulk.
My God.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like old or anything. I don't know. In my opinion, I like the reboot of Battlestar. I think.
Oh, I hate the reboot.
Oh, I love that. I thought it was. It's really multifaceted.
I find the original to be more stimulating to my imagination.
It's more fun. Yeah, it's very fun. Definitely.
The only criticism I have actually of the original is get rid of that fucking kid.
Yes. Yeah. Did you notice in the remake, in the reboot, they had the kid in there for one episode.
God, I hope
and
they
then
killed
decided
him off.
they did. Well, you just never saw him again, right?
Oh, I got it. I think one of the greatest, one of the best TV series ever has to be The Greatest American Hero.
Okay, Killer. Yeah, serious.
And I'll tell you why. Because that show was a serious show. It did have comedic overtones with the concept of the superhero who doesn't know how to use the powers. And, so therefore he's constantly crashing and all that good stuff when he's trying to fly. And, hijinks because, they're basically experimenting to learn how that suit works. But it was a serious show. And it covered some serious stuff. And it's sad. I think it's really sad that it's only ever going to be remembered for being goofy. But it wasn't goofy. Just like with Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk wasn't as brash and headstrong and charging in like a maniac like he's portrayed today. He was never like that. He was always very thoughtful and took very deliberate steps.
Right. Very sure of himself. Exactly.
Yes. He was very by the book. And they treat him today like he was some mad rogue on a crusade, and he wasn't. But same thing with The Greatest American Hero. It's only ever going to be remembered for being goofy and silly. When the goofy and silly stuff was really a very thin veneer on that show.
Right.
And it's very well acted. It's pretty well written. I mean, every show in that era of the 80s, it was always Cold War stuff.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that there's so much of that in that show. But the acting was top notch. If it was remade today, they'd do it wrong. The only thing that I think they could possibly do right today, and someone's going to disagree with me on this, I bet, because you remember the show, I'm sure. I would say if you're going to make that show or remake it today, the first casting decision I would make would be for the character of Bill Maxwell, the FBI agent, and I would cast Bruce Campbell.
Oh, wow.
and have him play it.
Can't lose with Bruce.
No, you can't. I mean, that's the one advantage.
Indeed.
But if you watch the line delivery between Robert Culp, who played Maxwell originally, and Bruce Campbell, there's a certain similarity there in style.
Yeah, I can see that. I see exactly what you're saying.
And I think Bruce Campbell would be just be a brilliant Bill Maxwell. That's the one thing I would do.
What about, all right, so you have a favorite anime series?
I don't know if it counts as anime, because anime usually has very strong inferences to Japanese animation. But I was never into... Well, actually, no. There was one piece of anime I was into, and that was Space Battleship Yamato.
Yeah, okay. I've actually seen that myself.
Everything since then, I think, is a downgrade from that, because that was a brilliant show.
Yeah, no doubt. So,
but as far as American made, I would have to go with Justice League from 2000.
Oh wow, good stuff.
Yeah, because again, there's a little thread throughout a lot of these entertainment things we're talking about, and that thread is respecting your audience. The Greatest American Hero did it. Star Trek did it once upon a time. Star Wars did it once upon a time. Yep. Justice League did it. A lot of those kid shows, even that show Bigfoot and Wild Boy I mentioned, that show respected its audience.
Yeah.
Even though the audience was 4 to 6 years old, shit, you still got to respect your audience.
Exactly.
You remember the old live action Shazam?
Absolutely, yes.
That show respected its audience.
Remember ISIS?
Oh God, Joanna Cameron.
Yeah.
Whoa. God damn.
Gorgeous. Just saying.
Absolute. I mean, everyone talks Linda Carter. You all can have Linda Carter. Give me Joanna Cameron.
I'll take them both, man. Just saying.
At once. No, but those shows respected their audience, even though
yeah, man.
The Shazam show had at the end of that, there was always that public service announcement. Captain Marvel would fly on the screen and, "Hi kids, today we saw Jimmy snort cocaine off his naked mom's chest." Whatever the message would be, and they never really beat you over the head with it. They explained what happened and how Jimmy needed. Thankfully there was someone around to teach Jimmy that it's okay to ask someone for help. And they kept it that simple and that straightforward, and they never, it was never preachy. Because they respected their audience.
Well, and you kind of touched on it, but because of the Cold War, a lot of that was, there was, this kind of this propagandist, stuff that I loved. I wish we had more of that shit now. I'll be honest with you, man.
Because some of those missed the Cold War stories were good.
Yeah, and at least you knew who your real enemy was. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right, so
and it's funny too. It was funny too because it was very rarely, because back then it was Russia, like it is today, I guess.
But it's not Russia,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
But see, back then when they said it was Russia, it was always made clear that it wasn't the Russian people.
Exactly.
Because there was always the episode that would have, like a Russian ballet dancer and
right,
and a Russian teacher who were a couple and they're trying to defect.
The defectors, exactly.
And they weren't like trading state secrets or anything. They just wanted to become Americans.
Yeah, they wanted free.
The enemy was always the Russian government.
Right.
It was never the it was never the Russian people.
Exactly. All right, so what about, all right, we got to shift gears here. We're getting towards the end of the questions.
Right on.
So, all right, what about, do you have scars, tattoos, or piercings?
I've got 3 piercings in one ear, 2 in the other, because I was a 80s metal guy and I thought that was the thing to do.
Right on.
I believe I wore shit in those for about a month.
Well, who was your favorite
Then
metal
got-
band back in the 80s?
Oh, I would say it started with Twisted Sister. Was my first big favorite one, and then since then, it's always been some combination of King Diamond and Merciful Fate.
Oh, wow. Merciful Fate, man. Classic shit.
Oh yeah, huge impact on the metal scene too. My God.
Yeah, death metal. Yeah, no doubt. They created it.
Just about.
Yeah. All right. So what? Becca always wants me to ask this question, so I'm going to ask it ahead of time.
All right.
All right, Becca. All right. So you're gonna have to come up with something new, buddy. All right.
Okay.
Do you have any collections?
Do I have any collections?
Yes. She would ask you, do you have any odd collections? But I'd just say, do you have any collections? Because whether they're odd or not, is I think a subjective thing.
I'm thinking through the inventory here. Hang on. Not really. Sharp things, but that's kind of vague, and so was the collection.
Yeah, like knives and
Just
swords.
different knives,
like,
a couple of swords.
Yeah.
But it's not like a collection that I put in shrink wrap and hang on a wall or put on display or anything like that. I simply have them because they're functional.
Right.
So I guess if that counts, then that's it. I don't really collect anything else. Well, I collect my thoughts from time to time.
In 40 years, what do you think people will be nostalgic for?
Let's see. What are people nostalgic for now? God, I think we're still kind of in that 80s, early to mid 90s nostalgia now.
Yeah.
So that I'm going to say in 40 years, it'll probably be something that's coming up in the next 10 or 15. So I don't know for sure what that would be. But I'll tell you one thing that'll never change. And that's a bit of fashion that men wear, jeans and a t-shirt. That is never going to change.
No doubt. No doubt. Let's see. I got a question here. I got a question generator here, and I'm going to use it. Yeah. Where's somewhere that you visited that was better than you expected it to be?
I almost answered that in a very dirty way. I held back because I almost said her name.
Some nappy dugout have something to do with that? Just saying.
Well, no, I'm not going to get into that. Let's see, someplace that there was, I don't know what the place is called. The Meadows. It was called The Meadows. But it was a place that my parents would drag me off to 1 week per year in the summer. We'd get in a houseboat and travel out to this place called The Meadows with a bunch of other people on their houseboats. And we'd all lash the boats together and turn it into a big, just a big island. I mean, we were right there on the shore. We were beached, as it were.
Right.
But I guess that would be it. That was that. Because I was a teenager, I didn't want to hang out with my parents for a week during the summer, and their friends, But it always wound up being pretty fun. So I guess that would count. But it's not like it was Disneyland or anything like that.
Well, if you could go back in time and spend a week with anybody, who would it be and why?
Back in time, a week with anybody.
Yep.
My 6th grade teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's neat.
And I'll tell you why. Because I see the signs now that I didn't see then. Back then, I did not realize that she was a crazed lesbian activist. I should specify that a little more clearly. A crazed liberal lesbian activist. And there were things that she had said and done that were that I think were wrong to inflict upon, what was it, 6 or 12-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Or 11 or 12-year-old kids. I don't remember how old I was
Some
back
of them teachers shouldn't have been given teaching certificates, man. I agree with that.
No, they
shit.
should not have.
No shit. All right, so what is your spirit animal?
Does asshole count?
Hey, man. It sounds all right. So this is all right. This is a portion.
Actually,
go ahead.
If I have a spirit animal, I'm going to say it's a dog.
Cool.
You want to know why? Because dogs are decent people.
Indeed. Everybody always dotes on cats and stuff, but I always, my answer is always,
cats are evil.
A cat won't take a bullet for you.
No, see, a cat.
A dog will.
You know why cats allow themselves to be domesticated? It's because they want to learn our ways and replace humans as the dominant species on the planet. Cats are evil. They're out for nothing but total planetary domination, and dogs are our only hope.
Did you ever see that Love and Robots thing?
Nope.
Oh, dude, that's Love, Death, and Robots. It's on Netflix. It's really good.
Oh, God, I gave up Netflix long before Cuties, by the way.
Yeah. Well, if you can find, though, that Love, Death, and Robots, find the episode. Just watch all of them, man. It's really good. It was actually the best thing. It reminded me of Heavy Metal, the movie.
Oh, God.
But done with modern techniques.
I've got an angle. What was that guy's name? Hanover Fist.
Yeah, Hanover Fist, exactly.
Christ. That was a long time ago.
So at this point of the show, I do what's called the pivot questions, or the pivot questions.
Hit me.
James Lipton used to do these on the inside the actor studio, and so I'm gonna shoot them at you, man. It's kind of a rapid response thing. What's your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yeah.
Dump truck.
What's your least favorite word?
Cerulean blue.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Smoking. Having a cigarette, I should specify.
What turns you off?
Overthinking.
What's your favorite curse word? You can say it. You can say anything.
It's actually a phrase. But I mean, there's a profanity. There's a curse word in it, and it's not the phrase itself. It's the idea behind it. It's when you exclaim, because a lot of people say "What the fuck,"
right?
But I will actually say, "What is the fuck?" Because the reason is that it's a twist on it, and it can make the listener stop and wonder for a second, and I find that amusing.
All right. So, what sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise do I love? The finishing gargle on a brewing pot of coffee.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Knock on the door.
All right, and I need to tell the chat this is go ahead and queue your questions up and put a couple of question marks either before or after, so I'll know that you're addressing these to Mr. Mitch the Ripper over here. Let's see, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt, Mitch?
Sorry, I used to do this thing. Stand-up comic, but I used to do this thing where people would ask me what I people would ask me what I do for a living, and I would often throw ridiculous job titles at them. Like I sell couch insurance, shit like that.
That's funny. What?
But it gets better because I started wearing a suit and tie for a while, and I discovered that if I'm wearing a suit and tie and I'm delivering these completely mad, off-the-wall answers, people are more likely to believe me because I'm wearing a suit and tie.
No, you're absolutely, yeah, you're right, man.
Because it's all in the presentation. I used to tell people in a suit and tie, I would tell them that I'm a former professor of future history, twice unretired. And they would believe every fucking word of that nonsense.
All right, so what profession would you not like to do?
Cashier, because I've done it.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You're late.
Uh-oh. Wow. All right, so this is the point where we're taking questions, and while we're doing that, we're back at YouTube. Who would you say is like a criminally undersubscribed YouTuber in what you consider, your corner of the YouTubeosphere?
Oh God, I don't even know what my corner of the YouTubeosphere is. But
or somebody you just want to promote, or something, something like that.
That's hard to say because there's a lot of people I think that deserve it. So I'm gonna go with your boy Pat.
Psycho Rick channel 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Same guy.
I totally agree. Let's see. All right. So who do you think is a YouTuber that's just overhyped and you don't understand
it? Joe Biden. No.
Will he understand? It's the question.
It's hard to say this without it coming off as an attack, and that's not my intent. But one YouTuber I just can't seem to get, and by what I mean by that is it's a failing on my part, not on the part of the YouTuber in question. It's Markiplier.
Okay.
I just don't get it.
I haven't even watched it. I've never even seen this stuff. All right. So what will finally break the internet?
I think what will finally break the internet will be the lack of recognizing that rights exist online. Which, by the way, my co-author Arthur actually wrote an internet Bill of Rights and a constitution for the internet. During one of the big adpocalypse things, a whole bunch of those big YouTubers were pissing and moaning that, we need a constitution for the internet. Right. Well, Arthur wrote one.
That's fascinating.
And we did what we could to spread the word on it. No one ever, we contacted them to say, hey, here's one. Let us know what you think.
All right, JTR has a question
Not
for
a
you.
word.
Do coconuts migrate?
No, but they can be carried.
What about fried bologna? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I'm
that one's easy, man.
Yeah, no shit. Let's see. All right. What do you think of Bigfoot movie where he's an alien that turns out to be a ghost that was killed in the crash landing? That sounds like a movie I've already seen.
Yeah, I think I've heard of something like that, but
I have too.
I don't like that idea.
Dan S says fried spam is better than bologna. You're not wrong there, bro. Just saying.
I think they're both good, actually.
Yeah, no shit, man. The Russians love spam. It's still to
the Hawaiians too.
Yeah, Hawaiians too, exactly. All right, so this is the point where we kind of talk about your content, and do you have anything new that's coming out? Is there something you want to accent? You want to talk about the Ridgedale Brand and Arthur the Hat, your partner. Kind of talk to us a little bit about that, because that's kind of the reason, get your name
the
out
only
there.
thing I can think of to say on that is what our schedule is and what we do each night of the week. And we're running into a little trouble with that a bit too, actually, at the moment. Monday at night at 10 p.m. Eastern, like I said earlier, is when we do the Twitch watch party.
Mm-hmm.
Where, we often pick bad movies. Sometimes we pick a good movie. But, we do a running commentary is what we do. And, we hope that people will come to watch, and we don't get many views there. But, that's a service people have to pay for to come and watch.
Twitch is, yeah.
On Wednesday nights, we usually cover politics. Well, we do it on Wednesday and Friday. We start our shows on those nights with the main subject.
What time do y'all usually kick it off?
Yeah, we actually break it down into segments because that's easier for us to chop the show up into smaller, more easily viewable bits that we can upload later.
Right. So do y'all stream live?
Yes.
And then, all right. So what time can people find y'all?
Wednesday and Friday night on YouTube. You can find us at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
On the Ridgedale Brand YouTube channel.
That's groovy. And I do have it posted along with your personal channel and your.
Oh no, my
your
personal
Twitter.
channel is I don't use my personal channel at all anymore.
Okay.
That's going to end up being a backup for when we get kicked off of YouTube on the other channel.
I get you. But I got your Twitter up there too.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do post right around a half hour before the show on Twitter and on Minds, Parlor, yada yada yada. Go down the list. We've hedged our bets as far as social media.
Indeed. You got to, man, nowadays. No shit. Let's see. So at this point, it's tradition that you chill your channel, and have a final word with the chat, and everybody watching. That's not in the chat, but could be.
See, that's difficult. That's difficult to do to chill because, man, we used to. Okay, Ridgedale Brand is a manufacturing company that we came up with as a joke, based on those old, 30s, 40s, and 50s radio shows.
Yeah.
Where they used to do like Autolite brand spark plugs. They used to do that kind of a thing.
Right.
And that's where we came up with Ridgedale Brand, and it's usually something like. Hang on. They're funny, and sometimes they're dirty, and I have to get the laughter out of me a little bit before I use the line. For example, we'll have Ridgedale Brand extra virgin olive oil because true love is elbow deep.
I it's a real kind of catchy name. I really like it. I like the artistic approach. I think your channel looks really sharp. The branding is really good. And I think go ahead.
I appreciate that. That's all Arthur, and that can be hard to maintain.
It is.
That visual style.
Indeed. So I did want to give credit to that because it looks very slick to me.
Oh, right on.
So Mondays you're on Twitch, watching them movies, and then what is it? Wednesday and Friday?
No, it's Wednesday and Friday, 10 p.m. on YouTube.
10 p.m. on YouTube.
I want to clear something up for Dan in the chat.
Sure.
Dan, to watch our Twitch watch party where we watch a movie from Amazon, you have to be a member of Amazon Prime. Is how that works. Otherwise, you can't watch the movie with us.
How do you verify that? How does that work?
What's that?
How do you do that? How do you know somebody's? You know what I'm saying? How they have the Amazon Prime,
Well, Amazon Prime is a pay service,
right? But I
and
mean,
Twitch being owned by Amazon. What Amazon has done is they've arranged
oh,
with all the.
that's why you can't look at Twitch on Roku anymore. I get it. Okay.
Well, they've arranged with all those companies that make the movies to let all their viewers get together and watch something at one time.
Right.
You know, all the paid subscribers to Amazon Prime, because Prime Video is included with Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
If you have Prime Video, then you can watch the Twitch watch party. Yeah, JP in the chat. If you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime.
Oh, crazy.
And therefore you can watch.
Understood. Well, then I guess I got it, and I didn't know it.
Oh, right on.
That's right. And on that note, I got some stuff coming up tomorrow. Of course, Becca and I will be talking about China. And I don't know. There's two ways I'm thinking about taking it, so I haven't made up my mind yet. Friday night, of course, CREEM stream. And once you're an alum of this show, occasionally we'll drag people into the CREEM stream.
Groovy.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of an initiation thing. Is this show right here? But yeah, the CREEM stream is a clip show, and it's crazy, and it's no holds barred, and everybody's pretty loose and naked up, on that show. For Saturday nights. Accelerated deconstruction. I don't know what we're going to talk about this week, so that should be fun. That's up to Excel. That's his deal. And a week from tonight, I'm going to have Doku in the chair opposite from me, just like we got Mitch the Ripper. And on that note, we'll pop into this room, and we'll be back into the into the main room that's got your name here for everybody to remember. And like I said, subscribe to this guy's channel, the Ridgedale Brand, and check out he and Arthur the Hats content. I really like it. It's got a swagger of a different kind to it, and I really like it.
That's great.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
So, I'm glad that we're coming across as being a little bit different from other content.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's definitely got a smooth vibe to it, indeed. And on that note, let's go ahead and tell everybody goodbye and then get out of here. How about that?
Can I do it the way I do all the time? Because
Sure.
my final words are always, stay groovy.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time. Later, taters.